You must listen to this entire message before entering a selection. To accept this call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press none. You may enter a selection now.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome.
Ignore Jed in the background.
Jet's the mascot, if you don't remember from last episode.
Yep.
Beautiful Jet. Welcome to Accept This Call. Season 2. We're on our second episode. A little bit of we kind of had to take a detour on our plans this week. There was some miscommunication. I'm going to take the fault on it. I know Andrea's like, you didn't, but
No.
I think I messed up the schedule.
I think we should just blame it on Jeremy. He's not here. We can blame it on him.
Yeah, he's the one that is not showing up. So
yeah.
We were going to have Jeremy on to talk about his former incarceration. As we talked about last time, he was with our guys in Fort Dodge, but the schedule didn't work out, so we're gonna have our own episode again this week, and then within the next couple of weeks we'll have his episode coming up. It's no big deal, it happens sometimes. So
that's life.
Yeah,
showbiz, baby.
That's it, you gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So first of all, how are you?
Good, better.
Good.
Yeah, we were talking, we both had kind of rough past couple days. How are you doing?
I'm also doing a bit better.
Good.
Time does what time does and sort of like heals some of the things that we need, just to take a step back from such situations. So
definitely.
I feel a lot better too. Thank you for asking.
Yes, of course.
But that leads exactly into kind of what we want to talk about in this episode.
Yes. Just kind of talking about mental health within the prisons, what the guys have to deal with mental health wise, what we deal with in life, being in a relationship with somebody incarcerated. So a lot of times they think we have it so easy.
I think one of the biggest issues that we deal with, loving somebody that's in prison, whether you're dating them or whether you are their mother, their cousin, whoever, something that I think about a lot is the aspect of just not knowing, not having that real-time communication of are they safe? What's going on? Where are they? And yes, obviously where they are, that they're, they can't really go anywhere.
Right.
Some people maybe think that it's controlling in the sense that they're oh, isn't it nice that you just get to know where they are all the time? They're not out cheating on you. I go, no, but it's scary in there. There are things that can happen in there that you don't know about, and you don't get to know about them because you don't have that real-time communication.
Right, exactly. And it's yeah, I know where they are, but I mean, something could happen where they go on lockdown, and the only way that he can let me know that they're on lockdown is by emailing, and that's not instant. And so that might take at minimum an hour to get through if he's hey, we're on lockdown. And then that's a whole nother thing. They have to spell things differently. So if he writes we're on lockdown, for the O, he has to put a 0. So that way it's doesn't get triggered by the system and flagged for them to have to manually push it through.
To review it.
So yeah, to review it, exactly. And so it's oh man, he's supposed to call me at this time and he doesn't. That's oh crap, what happened? Did they go on lockdown? Did he, I like to think that our guys are fairly good in there. Yeah. They're not they have it pretty good in there where they're not really gonna mess up the perks that they have going on. But it's somebody could jump them and they could get in a fight, or a CO could have thought they were, smarting off and be all right, you're going to the hole, whatever the case may be. So that's always scary when you're just oh my gosh, yeah, why haven't they contacted me?
I have 2 follow-up questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one. So when Ben doesn't call you for whatever reason, what does your mind instantly jump to? Because I know what mine does, and it's changed from the beginning. When Jake would first not call me, I thought it was something else, and now I think in a different way. So what do you think of?
Yes. Okay. So when he used to not call me at the beginning of the relationship, mine was always a safety thing. Like, he has gone to the whole he used to, when he was in Fort Madison, he went to the hole a lot for fighting, but it was a maximum security prison, so like, what do you expect? And he had just went in. When he got to Fort Dodge, there was a couple times where he went to the hole for smoking weed. And when he wouldn't call me, it was, oh shit, he decided that he was going to smoke weed and ruin it.
Yeah.
And then I threatened him. I was like, if you get in trouble again for smoking weed, it won't be pretty.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's a
Like,
deal breaker.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, you didn't call me? Oh, you're either sleeping because you're freaking depressed and you don't feel good, or you're playing Xbox.
Yeah. And I mean, at least I feel this way now too, like, and it's unprecedented times, but now, like, I worry too of, like, are they on COVID lockdown? Like, if he doesn't call, I'm always like, well, crap, like, is something happening there and his emails aren't going through or whatever like that. Like,
Yeah.
I do feel that way too.
Yeah, 100%. And especially since he's been having issues, chest pains and numbness and stuff, I'm like, did they have to take him across the street to the hospital? Like, why?
Exactly. And then so my next follow-up question, like, in regards to exactly what you're talking about too, is, do you guys have some sort of system where, like, if Benjamin were to go to the hole, or if Benjamin had to go get taken out for whatever, does like one of his buddies have your phone number or something?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because you know that the prison is not going to call
No,
you, even though you're in medical contact. They won't call you.
They won't. So it used to be his friend Gucci. I know
the nicknames.
That so it used to be between like Gucci and Dank, you know, these names, I don't, whatever. And now Dank has my phone and has me on Core Links too. So
Jake and I have that too, where, like,
good.
Well, we used to, but his best friend now.
Oh, I know.
Rockwell, yeah, which good and bad, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's who he gave my phone number to. So now I told him to give it to his roommate, and Benjamin had it at one point too, just in case when they were roommates. I was like, just give it to your roommate, like, so that if something were to happen, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, so, like, and for people who don't really understand what we're saying in this, I feel like maybe we're assuming people know a little bit too much information. I do that all the time.
I know.
But just, like, so if either of our guys were to get sent to the hole for getting in a fight or getting attacked, like, if they get attacked, they're still going to the hole. What would happen is that, like, they get sent away, and, like, usually they don't have an opportunity to call you and let you know, like, hey, and they don't know when they're getting out of the hole. They don't know, like, what else going to be. And while they're in there, they don't have access to their things. They don't have access to their tablet. I think that they get a phone call maybe once a day or something like that.
Yeah, if they're lucky, for sure.
Yeah. But it's like, if Jake was scheduled to call me at 9 o'clock, like he does every single night, and he misses that, I start to freak out. And so if something were to happen to him in that scenario, I told him, I was like, give my phone number to one of your friends so that they can at least let me know, you know? So that's kind of what we're talking about in that. And then to sort of, like, go back to in the beginning of our relationship, obviously, like,
I was just gonna ask you. I'm like, you have to tell me now.
I have a very anxious brain, and I overthink and I analyze, like, every possible thing that anything could be. So in the beginning, when we first got together, if, like, he was a little bit late, like 10 minutes late, if he was 10 minutes late, I never thought, like, oh, he's maybe just in line, or, oh, he's showering a little bit longer. My first thought was, he doesn't love me, he doesn't want to be around, like, he's not going to call me, he hates me, he's going to ghost me. Like, I know, I'm ridiculous.
Benjamin's like that too, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I first thought. And, like, I've moved on from that a little bit, because it would go from that to he's calling some other girl, another thing. Again, I'm not saying it's the right thing. It's just things that go through my brain.
Yeah.
There's that. And then it would go to, oh, he got in trouble or something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like I've graduated, gotten a lot better.
Yes.
And if he were to miss a call, which he rarely ever does, or if he were to, like, be late or something, it's usually my first thought is, okay, he's in line, and it's a little bit of a longer line than you would think. Second is they're on lockdown. I get nervous about that. And then it goes to like the more kind of crazy side of it.
Yeah.
That sort of side. So that's how I feel about it. And like just that not knowing, like not being able to communicate, like with the text is saying, like, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late tonight calling you, babe. Like that is so weighing on our brains. Like it is
Yeah.
difficult.
And it's interesting too, because like when they get out and come home, they don't have that excuse anymore. You know what I mean? Like I have a lot of friends that are like, oh, my boyfriend didn't call me, or he's, out doing this and he's supposed to be home at 10 and he didn't even give me like a call or a text. And so like when I tell Benjamin that, he was like, dude, that's crazy that you wouldn't communicate like that, because all our relationship, like we've discussed before, is based on communication and like some lack thereof, like you're saying, it's not always instantaneously.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
So yeah, more on the mental health side of them being in prison. They don't have a whole lot of opportunity when it comes to mental health. You can be offered to see the psychiatrist. I don't know what kind of like therapy sessions or how often or what all that entails. I know that they can get medication, but from what I understand is that they don't go to each individual and say like, Savannah, you're bipolar. We're going to give you this kind of medication. Aundrea, you're depressed, so we're going to give you this kind of medication. It's kind of a lump sum generic mental health medication basically. And
That's
so
loft or something like
yeah,
like
it's kind of a across the board, cure all basically. So some people it works great, other people it doesn't. And then you also have to stand in pill line. You actually have to go to the line, kind of, I'm assuming, kind of like what you see in the movies. And you could spend a half hour there. And if you're doing that a couple times a day, you're, and you have to be in at a certain time, then you're wasting precious time, basically.
Exactly.
So,
And like, I don't know if you and Benjamin have talked about this, but I really truly believe in like therapy and counseling. And I think that you can do therapy and counseling even when you're not like having a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like when they see this psychiatrist, I'm sure that much like a lot of the other medical attention that they get, it's like are you gonna kill yourself? Because if you are, we're just gonna put you on suicide watch. It's like, but if you just need somebody to like listen and like assess and give you resources, like you don't have that. You know what I mean? And
right.
so like when it comes to like Jake and I's relationship, I'll get pretty personal here and like candid. Like I've talked to him, like I think that when you are released, we need to go to like couples counseling.
Oh yeah, I've already talked to Benjamin about that for sure.
Yeah, and is he on board for it?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because it's like, and I think that Jake needs to go to his own counseling on his own, like his own sort of therapy, because there's a lot to unpack there. And whether or not he wants to admit it, he's going to have some issues that come from, being locked up for 13, 10, 17, whatever it ends up being years,
Absolutely.
And they just don't have that. And it's like, that's so frustrating to me because it's like, well, what are they supposed to do? These are the people that a lot of them have like behavioral disorders. A lot of them have mental health problems, but they're not giving them the resources to do better. And then wonder why people come back.
Right.
Because they're not addressing the issues.
Yeah. They literally can lock them up and throw away the key and feed them and let them shower and give them workout equipment and everything's fine and dandy. And, that's another thing that we've talked about. So a lot of prisons, they don't have the resources, like you said, available, not even mental health, but, drug wise, sexual misconduct wise, anything like that. Like they might have to take a class or two here and there, but the real like help that they need, they're not getting. And that is why they, reoffend is because they're just not getting what they need. And, people think that prison is a means to an end, basically. And it's like, that's definitely not the case. And you're definitely right. Like if you go, at least this is what I've been told, is like, if you go and see the psychiatrist or whatever, and you're like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, they're either going to put you in pill line or they're going to put you on suicide watch. Mm-hmm. And, I know that, what's that?
There's no in between.
No, there's no like in between at all. And it's like, nobody wants to be on suicide watch if they don't need to be on suicide watch. So
because they isolate you. Again, they just put you in your own area and make people check on you. It's like when you're alone with your thoughts, like, and you're thinking these very messed up feelings about yourself, and you're having a hard time processing, the response from those that are supposed to protect you is to leave you alone with those thoughts. And
right. And they have somebody literally watching you, but it's not a counselor. It's not a therapist or a psychologist. It's another person incarcerated.
Yeah.
So what?
Those are the people that are not equipped to handle those sort of issues.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do? Try to kill yourself and I'm supposed to come beat you up? Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to grab the like you said, they're not equipped to handle that situation.
Yeah. What are they supposed to do?
And why would you want to put that on somebody incarcerated that's already dealing with their own demons?
That's so true.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem fair or right to me. And that's another thing, like just talking to them about, like, our guys, about what's going on with us. Like, I know that Ben will take it personally sometimes, in the sense of like, if I'm complaining about my job, he'll be like, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry I'm not there with you. I'm sorry I'm not there in the world helping you make money. And like, I'm sorry that you can't like go down to part-time and we can just, have me work and this and that. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm complaining to vent to you. I'm not complaining because you're not here with me. Like, I know it sucks, but like, I know that if you could be here, you would be here, So
yeah,
I think that they get a lot of, at least Benjamin does, like, anxiety from that. So a lot of times then I hold back from like complaining because I don't want him to feel sad either, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm literally relating to you 100% because like, seriously, it's like, it's hard. And I'm guilty of this just as much as Jake is too, that like, I take things very personally, and like, I shouldn't, and I know that it's wrong. He knows that it's wrong too for him to do it. But like, if something isn't going right in my world, like, he goes, well, I'm sorry I can't make you happy, or like, I'm sorry that, like, yeah, I know, it's dramatic.
I know.
Dramatic. We're just dramatic people. But like, he goes, well, I'm sorry I don't make you happy, or like, I'm sorry that I'm not this person, da da da. And I go, it's not that. Like, it would be worse if you weren't in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I would be in a worse state without you. You do so much for me.
Right.
I'm just letting you, like, and it doesn't matter if you're in prison or if you're out of prison, like, we're still going to have these issues.
Yeah.
But it does bring up like a really good point of what you're saying, of kind of the limitations of what they can do for us, like of what they can provide to us. And for me personally, the hardest thing is like, I'll never get over it. Like, I'm so jealous of the late nights, because like our schedules are so hard to manage sometimes, that it's like, I wish that like, when I get off work at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, or 3 a.m. or whatever, that like, I could just like decompress at the end of the day if I need to, but I can't, because that's not allowed. He can't just call me and say like, hey, how was your day? And so then I have time to stew and do this. And it's like, that's a really hard one for me. Of limitations, is just like, sometimes like at the exact time when I need somebody, like he just can't be there. And I don't hold that against him. I don't resent it for him. I resent the DOC. I don't resent him. So yeah.
there's no reason why our level 6 and 7 guys can't be out all night again.
So that's my biggest like limitation, I guess I would say, from what I feel like this is terrible to say, like what I could use more of from him and like what he could do better to support me, but he cannot do it. Like that's the problem, you know what I mean? So that's defeating in and of itself too.
Definitely.
I don't know what you feel like, if there's anything that you feel like, I feel like this is something that I need that is limited by the fact that Ben is in prison. I don't know if there's anything like that for you.
This is gonna sound so stupid compared to like exactly what you just said, but I get like, as far as like him physically not being here, that's what gets me a lot of times. And it's like, man, like I'm having a rough day at work. Like I wish he could just like swing by some coffee.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean.
And it's just like, I know because he is a very like giving person, and we've done like love languages stuff.
We're gonna talk about that. We read the whole book.
And I've done like quizzes online for him, and he's very like, with being in prison for so long, he's very like he likes being around people. He wants to spend as much time, like when he comes home, he's like, we're never going to be apart. And if we have to be apart, then we're not going to be apart.
Quality time.
Yes, quality time. And so just, I think for me, and that's fine because I love quality time as well, but I'm also like, I mean, I'm a freaking Leo, so I like having that attention, and I like receiving gifts too.
Yeah.
And so for him to like want to be around me anytime that he can, so it's like if I'm having a bad day and I want some coffee, like he's probably going to bring it to me.
Acts of service, that's the other one. You like
acts of service, that's what it is. Yeah. And so that's like what I really struggle with sometimes.
And I don't think that it sounded bad at all. I don't think it sounded bad. Like you thought, no, it makes perfect sense to me. Like, and going off that 5 love languages thing, my love language, 1,000,000 gajillion%, there's no doubt in my mind, is physical touch.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I have gone this long without like physical touch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going insane, to be honest with you. Like, and that's another source of like anxiety for Jake. It's another fear is that he's like, well, I cannot give you that right now. And I'm like, I know. But so like my second one is words of affirmation, and he is so good at that. You know what I mean? Like he fills it up to the brim. But that is such a limitation. It's like, and it's not that you want like when you're talking about this, it's not like you're like, oh, I really need some coffee. It's like, no, I need Ben to bring me coffee.
Yeah.
That is what
I have plenty of other people that I could be like, can you please bring me coffee? I really need coffee. But it's like, no, I want him. I want it to be special, you know, like I want him to be able to do that for me, not anybody else.
Exactly. And like, and when they are able to kind of provide those things like from prison, it just like takes it up an extra level too.
Right.
Like, you know how hard it is to coordinate those kinds of things, right?
Right. And that's what I was going to say is, so anytime that they want to physically give us something, they have to go, like, I know Benjamin reaches out to like his mom or his dad or his sister or, you know, his dad's wife or somebody to be like, hey, like, I think we started dating, talking, whatever, in May, like 5 years ago. And then by December for Christmas, his mom, well, the first thing that he had her send me, he's a good listener, by the way, very good listener. Yeah. I was complaining about how I wanted Hy-Vee M&M cookies because they're so good. And then like the next week I had freaking Hy-Vee M&M cookies at my door that his mom, he was like, Mom, go get some for her and send it to her. And then in December, when Christmas rolled around, he, you know, got with her and sent me this huge like care package. And yeah. And here's a funny story for you. So in that care package, there was a ring.
pretty. It is so pretty. And I think that maybe your story isn't up anymore, but it was on your story and it was like,
How was it?
it was
Okay.
so pretty.
So yeah, this was in like the little Christmas care package that he orchestrated with his mom to send me. And the funny story behind it was that so he had to call his mom, and then his mom had a three-way the jewelry store.
Oh my gosh.
Because did I ever tell you this?
No.
Yes, so they three-way the store jewelry store, and he kind of has like an idea of like the style he wants to send me and stuff, and then they're like, oh well, you can get on our website and look. And he was like, well, I don't have access to the internet. And they're like, well, why don't you come on in and browse? And he was like, because I'm a very busy man.
Is that what he said?
And then so they just like helped. He like told him kind of the style and the price range, and then I guess maybe his mom was helping look online or something, and then he was just like, yep, that sounds good. And then they sent it to her, and then she sent it to me. So it was like a whole process. Like that's literally what they have to go through to make something happen for us.
Yeah, and so all of that process is like, it just means so much more. Well, to wrap things up too, I have one last question. I think that would be like, okay, what advice would you give to somebody who has a loved one incarcerated, like to keep sane, to like keep their own mental health in check throughout the process?
That's a great question.
And how you could help, like how best can you help your loved one?
Yeah, I think to keep you sane, like myself, make sure that you don't forget to do things for you. So like before COVID, I loved to travel. I loved going on trips with my girlfriends. Like I loved spending time with my family, going hiking, just keep doing things that you love to do. I think that's super important. And eventually he figured out that I needed those random fun trips. Like there was a period of time where I just didn't do it because I think I kind of lost myself in our relationship. And he was like, you need to go on a trip. And I was like, yeah, I do. But and then just for them, like I think, speaking of the devil, I think it's very important to, like right now, like he's calling, we're in the middle of something, to always like just answer the calls if and when you can. Like if you're in the middle of work, of course, you're probably going to understand that. But no, it hung up on him. Oops. But just try to be there for them as much as you can. And if you're not going to be available, whether it's like emotionally or timely or whatever, just let them know, because I think giving them false hope would do more damage than good. Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. I think that's like really good advice.
What would your advice be?
My advice
from like a new perspective.
From my perspective?
Like a new incarceration
Yeah.
perspective, for sure.
I think that a lot of like this first year of us being together is a lot of like trust building. So that's something that that's something that I'm really like trying to work on. So I'm going to kind of focus on that and say that like the advice that I would give to somebody who's like working on the trust, and then I feel like a lot of people will discredit it. It's like, well, how can you not trust them? They're literally in one spot. Like they're not going out and doing anything. I go, but you hear all these horror stories of people using other people and people, doing whatever they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
In regards to like the trust side of things, it's like people are going to do what people are going to do no matter what. It's out of your control. They're going to act however they want. So just live in the moment and like be present and take what they're telling you, trust your intuition, and like just accept it, because if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. If they're going to, you know what I'm trying to say, right? In regards to that, like of anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and like take what they do and show you every day, like, and use that rather than focusing on your fears and your worries about it. That's like what my advice would be, I guess. The advice that I would give, like, to best support your loved one is to make them feel incorporated into your life and let them know that like the information that they can give you and the resources that they do and the effort that they put forth is very valuable. Like, make them feel valuable and make them feel connected, and like that they're able to provide you with what you need. Because again, I think that's something that Jake struggles with, is like, what could I possibly do for you? And so, you know, affirming him and letting him know, like, you know, this is what you do and how much I appreciate it. Like, thank you. And I think that that's really good advice, because I think that it keeps him like in a good spot of like, in his manhood, like, I'm able to provide in some of the ways I want to. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
well, that wraps it up.
Wrapping up.
Like,
So wrapping up. Hopefully next week we'll have Jeremy or maybe some other special guest. I don't know. We're just apparently gonna go with the flow this season. Showbiz, baby. I tell you.
Showbiz, I love it. We're gonna plan to go with the flow. How about that? Plan to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So hopefully Jeremy will be on next week. And then, of course, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, email us to toacceptthiscall@gmail.com. Follow us on all our social media. Follow us on all our social media. Instagram is to accept this call. Facebook to accept this call. Twitter is just accept this call. Right? Yeah.
Perfect.
So
we're gonna maybe start a TikTok soon, put our bloopers on there.
Yeah. Should we do some funny like prison TikTok videos or maybe like blooper reels?
That'd be so fun. Let us know what you want.
We'll figure out something fun.
Yeah, what would you want to see on
Yeah.
Leave us a comment.
We're here to entertain you and tell you guys stories.
Showbiz,
educate, and break stigmas. Showbiz, baby.
We're doing all of it.
You see my spirit.
I love it. Well, have a good night, week, whatever, everybody. We'll see you next week. And thanks for joining in.
Next week. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.